right onto Dover Road. Continue for 1.5 miles.
Conservative Party have shown themselves incapable of offering the leadership and government this country deserves.
I don't know about you, but I thought the big dog, Boris Johnson, was in a bullish mood. Here was his response.
As for Bury South, Mrs. Speaker, as for Bury South, let me say to the right gentleman, Mrs. Speaker, by the way, can I say to the right honourable gentleman, the Conservative Party won Bury South for the first time in generations under this Prime Minister, with an agenda of uniting and levelling up and delivering for the people of Bury South. And Mr. Speaker, we will win again in Bury South at the next election, under this Prime Minister.
That sounds a degree of support for me. It is reported that, I hope we heard those 3 words, it is reported, that some of the pork pie plotters were actually in tears when they saw the reaction and realised what's his name again? Wakeford, that's right. What Wakeford had chosen to do. But then at the end, the former SAS soldier had the Prime Minister in his sights. Conservative heavy hitter, David Davis.
I expect my leaders to shoulder the responsibility for the actions they take. Yesterday, he did the opposite of that. So I'll remind him of a quotation altogether too familiar to him of Leo Amery to Neville Chamberlain. You have sat there too long for all the good you have done. In the name of God, go.
Prime Minister, I must say to the right honourable gentleman, I don't know what he's talking about, but what I can tell him, I don't know what quotation he's alluding to.
And before we get too carried away, just to remind you, David Dace and David Davies also fired salvos at John Major, David Cameron, Theresa May, and now Boris Johnson. You could argue you're probably getting it right if David Davis calls for you to go. To Bury South, how are people reacting? But they are now in a Labour constituency. LBC's reporter Tom Dunn in Radcliffe, where I understand the MP's office is located. Tom.
Correct, Nick. Christian Wakeford claimed the decision to defect from Conservative to Labour was the most difficult decision of his life as he sat on the opposition benches at a dramatic PMQs yesterday. His seat here in Bury South is one of the slimmest red wall majorities from the election in 2019, with the then Conservative candidate gaining from Labour by a majority of just over 700 votes. So how are the public here feeling about his decision to walk across the floor of the Commons and make a big statement to a Prime Minister under serious pressure?
He's let the Bury South public who voted for him down.
Very, very good, Christian Wakeford. He was a good member of Parliament.
Very good, Bury South.
I really don't understand how he's joined the Labour Party now, because there aren't any seats available.
If he's gone independent, oh well and good. But by crossing the floor, how can you explain that?
It was horrifying when I saw it. I thought, why would you ditch him when he's got you in there? You know, he got his job for him, didn't he? Who knew about it anyway before, and now he's got in and then to turn on him.
He should have sat as an independent, not get elected onto Conservative manifest and then turn around and say, and I believe the Labour manifest. He should have been independent. That would have been the best thing he could have done.
In 300 yards, keep right to continue towards Tons Lane, A355.
And just hearing the reaction from some of those people that we've spoken to, the decision hasn't gone down too well with some of the voting public here in the town of Radcliffe, a small town right in the heart of this Red Wall constituency. Mr. Wakeford said he had been considering the move for many months and had many sleepless nights.
Keep right.
This comes, of course, at a difficult time for Boris Johnson, who's been facing growing pressure from within his own party after he admitted to attending a drinks event or party at Downing Street during the first COVID lockdown. Yesterday, Christian Wakeford said it was a difficult decision for him, but he feels it is the right one.
This is something that's taken many months to come to, and it's not been an easy decision. If anything, it's been the most difficult decision I've ever had to make. But I do think it's the right decision for me. I think it's the right decision for Bury South. It's getting to a point where it's difficult to explain some of these issues, then you know it's wrong. And at the moment, we've got a party trying to defend the indefensible, and they're doing so gladly. That's not right. It's not fair, and it doesn't respect the country or the office.
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the M4 slip road to London Heathrow Airport.
So we'll have to wait and see whether the decorators are coming in today to change the colouring of that sign now that the political affiliations of this area have changed once again. And it's not just here in Bury South where Conservatives are starting to rise up against Boris Johnson. My colleague LBC's Vicky Smith is in David Davis's constituency of Howden in East Yorkshire with more.
David Davis dropped a bombshell in the Commons yesterday telling Boris Johnson, in the name of God, go, but do his comments represent his...
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
...people in Howden, in East Yorkshire?
Yeah, probably, I would think. I think he's let us down quite a bit as Boris. We put a lot of faith in him, and I think he's probably exactly right. He got a massive majority. I think he's just let us down with what's going on.
Keep Boris Johnson, nothing wrong. Yeah, he broke some rules, but at the end of the day, I think it's the better of what we've got at the moment, or what we could get, definitely.
I think he's done the right thing by asking him to go, definitely.
Why do you think that?
Boris Johnson has been in it to himself, he should know better.
Probably a time to stick together, I would have thought, rather than headhunting. None of us are perfect, so Boris has got us through a very trying 2 years. So, should have stuck with him and carried on, in my view.
Amongst the Tory benches, many have been quick to water down David Davis' comments, with Conor Burns telling LBC yesterday that the former cabinet minister, who has been an MP here in this area for 30 years, is a loner within the party. But it doesn't appear that David Davis is a total lone wolf amongst Conservatives in his Yorkshire seat. One local Tory councillor telling me that he is representing the mood. Whether or not everyone here agrees with David Davis, it's certainly cut through the Westminster Wall and been heard 200 miles away in Howden, Nick.
Vicky Smith reporting. Tom down before Vicky. Let's get straight to advice before we get your calls. Denzel Davidson served as special advisor to Theresa May as Prime Minister, is now at the advisory firm Global Counsel and joins me now. There is a sense around Westminster that actually this might have brought the PM more time. Do you concur, Denzel? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I agree. MPs tend to be pretty tribal, and we've had an MP defect, and his reasons for doing so seem perhaps good for why he thinks Boris Johnson shouldn't be Prime Minister, but they don't really explain why he's now joined the Labour Party. So when something like that happens, MPs tend to pull together, and since so much of politics, particularly leadership struggle like this, is about momentum, loss of momentum is definitely helpful to the Prime Minister.
Has it saved the PM, or merely bought him more time?
I think it's the latter. It's bought him more time. We don't yet know whether he's saved. He doesn't either. No one apart from Sir Graham Brady knows how many letters he has. So, and we've yet to have Sue Gray's report too. So a bit more time is the likeliest outcome.
You reference the Sue Gray report. The outcome, is that wholly dependent on what we are due to hear next week?
Well, it's entirely up to Conservative MPs. They're the ones who are going to make a decision. They're the ones who can put letters in, letters of no confidence Johnson, and they're the ones who get to vote on a no confidence motion in their party leader. So it's entirely up to them what they make of events, and one of those events is Sue Gray's report. It's a report by a civil servant who works for the Prime Minister, so it can't be independent, it can't be fully impartial, but she's expected to set out the facts, and then people will draw their conclusions from it.
Lastly, you're a canny political watcher. A lot of people, and I would put myself in this camp, sense that the big dog, Boris Johnson, had a bit of his bite back yesterday at PMQs. Denzel.
Well, I think his advisors have told him that he needs to show fight, he needs to show determination, and that's what he's doing. Boris Johnson is a very experienced politician, he knows how to put on a show, and that was the right choice for him. It showed that he's up for a fight. He isn't finished, hasn't lost all his drive, and that's step one for his purposes, showing that he's up for staying on as Prime Minister and that he's going to fight for his premiership.
Denzel Davison, Special Advisor to Prime Minister Theresa May, now at the Advisory Firm Global Council. Thank you for your time. Your views coming in, unsurprisingly, on that. You are the key to all of this. Never mind those Tory MPs and it's the magical number of 54. Ultimately, of course, it will be you who choose which way the country goes. How do you think Boris Johnson is doing? And I think there is an argument that perhaps, as well as focusing on that, we should be looking across to the Ukraine, where Russia has deployed more military personnel. Joe Biden.
Militarily, they have overwhelming superiority, but they'll pay a stiff price immediately, near term, medium term, and long term if they do.
The 7:15 LBC News headlines are read by Simon Conway.
Number 10 says Boris Johnson will fight any leadership contest, as it appears some Tory MPs are now holding off on calling for his resignation. President Biden says he believes Russia will move in on Ukraine, but is likely to stop short of a full-blown war. Lawyers for Ghislaine Maxwell have now formally requested a retrial after she was convicted of sex trafficking last month. LBC weather, cold but dry and sunny for most, a high of 9 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Joanne Webb. In East Dulwich, the South Circular Road is closed in both directions, and that's because of a burst water main. As a result, it's now very busy on the surrounding routes, especially on the A20 Lee High Road. The A316 Chertsey Road is closed both ways between Chobham and Woking because investigation works are taking place, and that's following an accident. Two problems on the A12. Firstly, southbound, it's slow from junction 12 at Mount Lessing to the M25 junction after an accident, and then also on the A12 there are queues southbound to Romford, and that's all down to the roadworks. On the underground, on the Victoria Line, Pimlico Station is closed because of a shortage of staff.
LBC. Oh, it's tough being a shopping bag.
That's what the January sales were about.
It's Boots Price Advantage. Advantage card holders get even lower prices on skincare, hair care and everyday essentials.
It's half price on favourites too. L'Oreal, Gillette, Nivea and Boots brand.
Why can't they just shop at Boots.com?
Squeeze more out of life and into your shopping bags for less at Boots.
Your handles can't handle much more.
Boots, with you for life. Subject to availability. Most Boots stores. Price Advantage in store only. Offers end 8th of March.
Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973 LBC. This is Joe. Hello. Joe is passionate about flooring. Wood, laminate, even a classic texture pile. He loves his job and takes great pride in every little detail. Joe is with Trusted Trader. And there are thousands more just like him, all experts at what they do. So next time you need something doing, try Trusted Trader to find a verified local tradesperson with great reviews. You can always trust a trader. Cheers, Joe.
Waterfalls, rainforests and unspoiled beaches. Book something to look forward to in the British Airways sale and fly to Tobago to experience this untouched Caribbean island. Flights plus 7 nights hotel from $549 per person. Book by January 25th at ba.com/Tobago. Fly British Airways. Book now and change later with flexible booking options. Terms and conditions apply. Sail ends January 25th. Limited availability. Selected holidays in September 2022. Atoll protected.
Hi there, small business owner. Your tiny QuickBooks team here.
In 1.5 miles, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes. In 200 yards, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes. Exit at junction 3. In a quarter of a mile, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the 4th exit onto the Parkway, A312. Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway. Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile. In a quarter of a mile, at Wagoners Roundabout, take the 2nd exit and stay on the Parkway, A312. Exit the roundabout onto the parkway. Continue on A312 for 1.5 miles.